All right, guys, welcome back. This is the Fan Show. Before I get back into it, I'm going to give you one more chance to sign up to our partners, Match Bingo.
Let's go.
Hi everyone, before we get into it, I'd just like to tell you about a brand new app. It's called Match Bingo. You can play along with live sports and Spurs matches and you could win cash prizes. Watch your card fill up in real time whilst watching Tottenham. Make sure that you get your bingo card for our next game. Click on the link in the description or via the QR code. Real sports, real bingo, great prizes. Enjoy.
Real sports, real bingo. Great prizes from the Don himself, Chris Cowlin. He's everywhere. He's at the game in Liverpool, but he's still doing voiceovers. Anyway, this is the Fan Show, guys. If you want to join Match Bingo, you just use that QR code in the top right-hand corner. But this is the Fan Show. And first of all, I'm going over to America and Scott, who should be there. Hello, Scott. How are you, mate? Another disappointing defeat. Unsurprising. You've heard my post-match review. How are you feeling?
Well, not as bad as you.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's because you're more in the heart of it. And I'm just here in America that doesn't have all these Arsenal rivals. And it's just much easier. But I mean, it's still, as someone who's been watching him now for 15 years, this has been the hardest season of all those 15 years. It's just, oh man, so many easy goals. I think they said it's the most Spurs games have had the most goals of any team, and I don't know if it was throughout the EPL or if it was everywhere
in history.
In history, it's just pathetic. All those easy goals. It's like, I just can't even take it. But then I didn't even yell at my TV one single time today.
No.
Yeah.
I didn't cheer when we scored because you just know what's going to happen. Listen, I'll be up for it on Thursday night. Don't you worry about that. I'll be pumped about it. But
I'm worried.
I was going to say, but can you trust that Tottenham won't concede in the first 5 minutes to Bodo Glimt?
Think about how everyone felt before Eintracht. Everyone was predicting a big loss. Oh my God, we suck. It's just like all those comments. I mean, yes, I think Ange has to go. It's not a player thing. It's the tactics. They showed one sequence where all the defensive line was right on the midfield line. And you could see that ball coming over the top from a mile away. And I think Danso recovered on the one they showed. But this is a guy that had come off a bad hamstring. And it's exactly how all these guys have gotten hurt. They had these recovery runs. No one can do that consistently. Then starting Vicario really pissed me off last week. He had a great game in Eintracht. And I think he was probably a little emotionally drained coming into the last game. And he had another freaking error. And I think Kinski should have started that game last week. He comes into this game fresh. And now he's had another mistake. It's just pathetic.
Which one do you think was Vicario's fault?
I think it was the second goal. Did they have 2 before half? 3 before half? Yeah. I think he dinked a little pass. He was trying to get it over. Right. And they might not have conceded on that one, but it was just like, it was another one of those dinky. Okay, give it to Vicario. Get rid of it now. And he just he got it to their defender. I don't know if they scored on that one, but I wrote it down. But that was the last thing I wrote.
Yeah, so because it was so boring.
It was boring, maybe, but no, yeah, it was. I don't know.
Put yourself in Daniel Levy's shoes, right? They cut to Daniel Levy in the crowd. What do you think he's thinking right now? What, like, you know, he can't believe in this manager.
Yeah, and I think that's a financial thing. I think there had to be consideration right when the group stage ended and they got in. I think there had to be consideration. Should we replace him now? But I still think it's money. I think they don't want to pay out someone who's just going to leave. I think it's also the Mourinho decision, firing him before the cup final. Nothing's going to happen. If he goes out of Europa, I think they will replace him. Yeah. And I think it'll be the guy that's, what's his name? The guy under him, Matty Wells. Because I don't think there's a strong connection between him and anybody. And I think him being so isolated is part of the problem. I think, and no one really probably tells him this isn't going to work because they're not really that close. They don't seem close at all.
What's your prediction for Thursday night then? I know you said you're worried. What do you think the score will be?
Is this a home game? I think it's
first leg is at home. Yeah,
I think we're going to win it. And I think we're going to win probably 2-0 because they play on a short pitch, because it's turf. It's kind of a little bit of an adjustment for them too, even though they probably have some grass in Norway. I don't know how it works.
No, it's a proper plastic pitch in the second leg. Yeah,
I think it's a 2-0, and going back to their place, I just don't know.
Backs to the wall.
Backs to the wall, but they're also going to feel that pressure of like, oh, we got to win, because everyone's going to think we really suck. Even though everyone's thinking they suck right now. So I think that's part of the problem too. Everyone's just saying they suck. And there's so many people saying that I don't know if they really believe that they are capable right now, but they pulled it off at 9-track, and I think they're going to pull it off this Thursday.
All right. In which case I'll be going to Bilbao. That could be interesting. Listen, Scott, thanks so much for being a part of the show. Sorry that we seem to never get to talk after a win at the moment.
Yeah. I can only do this on Sundays. All right. Well, cheers.
All right. See you later. Bye-bye. Okay. So next I am going to Gary.
Hey,
Gary,
Barnaby,
thanks for joining me, mate. Yes, Gary. How are you, mate? What have you sat through there, mate? What have you sat through there?
Mate, honestly, I just fucking, you know what? It can't get any fucking worse, can it? Probably can. Sorry for the swearing. Yeah, it's just horrific, mate. The whole season, the league form, the Europa League is literally all we've got to hold on to. And that's what I would say. I wanted to come on here really positive today. I was really excited to come on. That fucking game has just sapped it out of me. Do you know what I mean?
But were you surprised in any way?
No, not at all, mate. Not at all. But what I would say is, you know, the club is in tatters at the minute. We've got one chance to win this trophy. We've got Bodo Glimt in the semi-final. I think, you know, you'd rip my hand off if I'd have told you that at the beginning of the season. You know, we really, as a fan base, I know it's difficult, you know, it's not for me to tell anyone, but as a fan base, we really need to get behind them. It's really hard to after watching shit like that. But yeah, we've really got to. We really have.
What do you think is going to happen Thursday night, the home game against Bodo Glimt? Obviously, they're a well-organised team. They've got a few suspensions, but, you know, I don't think the Spurs team are going to go into it full of confidence.
No, certainly not after today as well. But yeah, I honestly think we will beat them on Thursday, and I think we'll beat them handsomely. Whether that will be enough in the second leg is another story. But we've got a great chance, Barnaby. Do you know what I mean? We're never going to get this chance.
But we're not going to keep a clean sheet, are we?
Probably not. No. But we're never going to get this opportunity. You know, not in the current state of the club. Do you know what I mean? If we could get to the final and somehow manage to wangle a result, you know, it's a sliding doors moment as well, because I tell you what, Villa are ahead of us now in terms of quality and where they're going. Newcastle as well, and there's a few others that are right on our tails.
One thing I would say, just sorry to interrupt, but just because you said it, and I think it's relevant, Villa were in the bin under Steven Gerrard. They were in the bin, and they made one astute managerial decision, which I bet at the time a lot of Villa fans probably were like, oh, well, he failed at Arsenal. But they made one astute managerial decision, and it turned quickly, and it can happen. But what they also did at the same time was they brought in a sporting director. I think they lobbed out at a similar time, Johan Lange, who's now at us. And they brought in, is it Monchi they brought in? Or I can't remember. Yeah. And he's been well renowned for years. I think he was at Sevilla for years. And they've just made astute signings. They've taken a risk financially by spending a lot of money on wages compared to their revenue. But in the most part, it's worked. They got to a Champions League quarterfinal. They do need to get in the Champions League again, that's for sure, because of those wages. Otherwise, they'll need to sell. But it just shows that it can happen relatively quickly. But do I trust Daniel Levy to make an astute decision and the right decision? I don't. And I would say, I think that astute decision is Pochettino. But I don't know how you get Pochettino out of his American contract.
Well, you're saying at that point Villa made an astute decision. Well, they made 2 or 3 astute decisions. We went and got Ange Postecoglou. Do you know what I mean? And that kind of is bared fruit now, isn't it, in terms of where we're at and what's going on. I agree totally. Pochettino, I think he's the one manager that I think 90% of the fan base would get behind. He'd congeal it and pull it all together. You know,
and he knows how to deal with Levy as well.
Absolutely. You know, and I personally believe, I keep hearing loads of people say, well, he's not going to come now. He's taking the USA the Cup and the World Cup and blah, blah, blah. He'll come. He'll come. We just need to go to him. He will come. But I don't think Levy will do that.
But he has those. He's always talked about his morality, hasn't he, Pochettino? And he doesn't love to break a contract and things like that.
He will. I believe he would. I believe he would. I really do. You watch that interview with him. You know, it seems like he really wants to come back. And I think if we went to him, I think he would come back. But like I say, I don't think Levy will. He's such a knobhead.
He is. If we couldn't get him, who would you go to next? Who do you like?
Do you know what? There isn't anyone that really infuses me, if I'm honest. You know, Marco Silva, you know, Thomas Frank. I think personally Glasner would be the best of a bad bunch, if you want to put it that way. And that I don't want to be disrespectful. I think Glasner could do a good job if he was backed. I think he'd certainly coach the players a lot better than Ange has. But yeah, none of them really infuse me. Pochettino would be the one that I would want. That I would, you know, if we couldn't get Pochettino, then okay, Glasner would be my next choice. But I think we should go all in, all out to get Pochettino. I really do.
All right. Well, listen, Gary, not a great deal more to talk about, unfortunately, but let's hope that you're right and we get a good result Thursday night.
Fingers crossed, mate.
Thanks for being a part of the show, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers.
Bobby. Take care. Cheers.
Bye-bye. Okay, next up is Steve. Steve, how are you, mate? Thanks for coming on the show.
What can you say? I mean,
well, exactly. Is there any way to find some positive?
I mean, I think what summed it up was our captain on the day, who basically just persistently put us under pressure. You know, you're 1 up and you just go, well, actually, let's just keep it tight for 15, 20 minutes. Let's not do anything stupid. And then, you know, the minute it's 1-1, it's going to be 2-1. And then, you know, it's going to be 3-1 because the team's got no backbone. There's no leadership in the team. And, you know, what they say about stupidity, about keep doing the same things time and time again. And how many times have we seen us do that? Try and play the ball out from the back in ridiculously tight positions and give the ball away. I mean, you can't do it against teams like Liverpool. And it's insane to even, you know, okay, do it once or twice, see it doesn't work, to keep doing it. And I have no idea if the manager is telling them to keep playing in this way because somehow in the long term it's proving it's going to be beneficial, but it is total insanity, isn't it?
I'll tell you what I find insane as well. The stuff that he comes out with in the press conferences at the moment is absolutely mad. It is absolutely mad. The thing he said last week, the thing he said on Friday, where he's like, oh, look, people are telling me to lose a game this time last year. It's like, yeah. What's that got to do with anything now, mate? You're just deflecting again.
He talks about the lack of respect he gets because he managed, was it a team in Hong Kong division that won the league and the Australian league and Celtic? It's like,
he gets no respect because he's lost 19 Premier League games.
I mean, you know, honestly, like there isn't a Spurs fan out there who wants Ange Postecoglou to foul. None of us do. When he took over, none of us went, oh, let's hope he fouls.
Yeah.
But to consistently make the same mistakes. And the thing as well, you know what he reminds me of? Like, you can imagine him being the captain of the Titanic, getting off this ship somehow and kind of going, what do you mean? Apart from the fact we hit the iceberg, I thought it was quite a good cruise, to be honest. You can imagine it, can't you? You know,
there's that meme. There's that brilliant meme where they just post a picture of Ange talking to the in-house Spurs interviewer. And the in-house Spurs interviewer always says something like, oh, well, Ange, you know, you only conceded 5 and you scored the first goal. So it was a decent start, wasn't it?
Yeah. And you get this kind of weird cult. You know, there's a cult of Ange and the fan base. You kind of go, you know, when we lost 4-2 to Wolves, they're going, you know what? Wolves and if I conceded like 2 goals at home twice this season, as if we should be proud of that. I mean,
feel like that cult is quite geographic.
I think it is. I think it is quite. I mean,
which I understand. I understand. It's it's the first Australian manager to manage.
Yeah, none of us want him to foul, do we?
No,
we don't want him to foul. But like,
I still want it. Listen, I still say, listen. There's nothing I'd want more than to see Ange stuff it down our throats by winning the Europa League.
Absolutely. You know, if we want to play on Thursday, we play outstandingly well and win and get through, and then play Man United in the final and beat them. I would be absolutely delighted. But there's no way that this guy can be our manager next season. And I'm old enough, Barnaby, to have seen Spurs be relegated. And the team that were relegated had 1,000 times more heart, more soul, more passion than this lot. And also, they had a manager, Keith Birkinshaw, who was young, brave, and kind of like, and was a Spurs man through and through, even at his early stage as manager. With Ange, he comes out with absolute garbage every time we lose. It's like, it's like, none of this is my fault. He never blames anyone, does he? It's never his fault.
No. Jesus has said, I just put it up there. He says most expensive tickets in the UK. That's the thing. That's where Daniel Levy gets away with it, from the fact that he doesn't get interviewed ever, because it's like, the question is so easy. How do you possibly defend demanding the highest prices in the entire the UK, and yet we are 19th?
And you know what? The game that really made me so anti him was a game that we actually won. It was a Man United League Cup game, a Carabao Cup. We won 4-3, and we were 3 up, and we were holding on. And he kind of, like, at the end of the game, he was almost laughing. It wasn't that entertaining. And it's like, actually, it wasn't. It was a horror show that we just about got over the line.
Yeah. Are you not entertained?
Yeah. Are we not entertained? And it's garbage. It really is garbage. And and I think, I know your previous caller was saying I'm not that enthused by many other managers. I actually think there's 4 or 5 managers in the Premier League who could do a much better job.
Go on, I'm listening. I'll tell you what, Glasner is one I would take like a shot.
Yeah, I think Glasner is good. I think Areola reminds me, he does remind me of Pochettino when he was first at Southampton. There's bits of him that remind me of him. I think Marco Silva might have earned the right to have another go at a bigger club. I think if Thomas Frank started well if he became a manager and started well, I think he would be a reasonable choice. All of them, to me, are much, much better tacticians, and like the thing isn't it, Barnaby, right? You just can't keep making the same mistakes game in, game out. It is, you can't say, oh, it's part of some kind of process. You can't. If we're not, we're not some footballing experiment, are we? We're meant to be a top 6 team, and like you said, we've fallen so far behind that.
All right, give me your prediction for Thursday night, score-wise.
Well, who knows? I mean, I suspect, I haven't seen this other team. My suspicion is that we probably will win 2-1, and then I have no idea about the second game. But the thing is, it's like, I knew today we would lose, and that's the awful thing, isn't it? We're going to lose. And, and I don't know, I just can't believe how bad it's got. Really can't believe how bad it's got. And
it's going to get worse, because we're going to lose all the rest of the games and finish 17th.
Well, we got the battle for 17th, haven't we, against West Ham? That's. You
don't think you can't honestly see us going to the London Stadium and turning them over. They're a big physical bunch.
Well, no, we probably won't. I mean, I don't think we can beat anyone, to be honest. Do you?
No, I really don't.
I mean, you look at Leicester, lost. Wow.
Spurs.
Who was that? Us.
Yeah.
Horror show.
Yeah.
But keep smiling, mate. You're doing a great job. And
I appreciate that, Steve.
Don't get too down. Honestly, I'm old and I've seen bad moments with this lot. But this is
all right, mate. Hopefully, I've got the hope of Bilbao. I've got the hope of Bilbao.
It's nice. Be a nice film title, that, wouldn't it?
It would be. Listen, thanks for being a part of the show, mate.
This is my son as well. It's part of it. I did warn him.
No, you've ruined his life, mate. You've ruined his life. All right. Have a good one,
Cheers,
mate. Thanks for being part of the show. Cheers. Bye. All right, guys. And to be honest, that kind of sums it up. That is the last guest that we have on today, because people just do not want to talk about Spurs at the moment because it's so poor. I'll go through a few comments. Sound of Gugu says 17th in a cup that is not won yet. That's Levy's ideas of success when he's selling 75,000 tickets for the boxing. That's right. The boxing was at Spurs last night, wasn't it? Coke Can says, because of General Levy, he's only interested in money, and the boxing last night at the stadium would have had him and the board rubbing their hands. Razzle Dazzle says we need a new leader and captain. Scott Rizal wants us to try and get Xavi. Don't know about that. A bit of a risk. I don't know. Peter M says, I'm really fed up with the fans who think that if you criticize and you are not a true fan. True fans know when they're getting screwed by rubbish football. I just don't know how he defends. I'm just going to have a quick look on Twitter to see if he's said anything post-match yet. Not that I can see as yet. Tell you what, the last home game where they have to walk round the crowd, that'll be interesting, won't it? Scott Rozelle says Kinski should have started today or the last game. Jackie Boy Johnson says the thing is, if those managers were that smart, they wouldn't come to Spurs. Paul Hazeltine, says the players need to play for the fans. The fans spent too much money to go into the games. It's embarrassing. Yeah, that's totally true. Can't deny it. All right, guys, if you want to get involved on a future fan show, please email tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com. That's tottenhamfanchris@gmail.com.